lifestyle, man. The lifestyle, like, the plan was always to just keep, stay here a couple of months, go back, maybe come back, that was the plan. But nah, I was always trying to stay here. Like, the moment I got here, it just became like obvious.
Yo, what's up with it, y'all? It's JD, and I'm back with another quick video. And today, I got the homie here, Steven, from the UK, and he's been living out here in Brazil for about 5 years now, a little bit more than that?
A little bit more than 5 years, yeah.
So today we're just gonna get maybe a little bit of insight on what life is in Brazil for a foreigner, like more of an authentic perspective. Not necessarily somebody who's just visiting, or somebody who's kind of one of these living the digital nomad life. Somebody who has more of like a authentic experience of actually spending some time here, really absorbing the culture, learning the language, just mixing in with the people, and just living here. And actually, you haven't left Brazil for 5 years, huh?
Yeah, so I've been here since 2016, and haven't left since.
So, what was it that actually brought you to Brazil to begin with?
You know what, like, it's weird. I've always kind of loved Brazil. So for me, it was like a dream of mine to come here. And I think it was a mixture of like football and nature and the music and that, the culture. So I just always knew I was going to come here, basically. I always knew. I can't say exactly what thing, but it was, it was always going to happen.
And then, so what was it? But like, what was the exact thing? Like, when you were booking that trip to come out here, like, what was it? Did you come for Carnival? Did you come for, or you was just like, I'm about to go to Brazil and go see what it's like out there?
Yeah. So, like I said, I've always kind of had this obsession, and when the World Cup was happening, I convinced my boy to come with me. I was already Brazil obsessed, Brazil crazy. I always wanted to go to Brazil. Everyone knew, oh yeah, I'm going to live in Brazil one day. But then the World Cup came, and he's like a big football fan, big soccer fan. So I was like, all right, 2 and 2, put the two together. Let's go out there and let's have a blast. And that's what happened. So the first time I came here was in 2014 for the World Cup. And I came out with my boy, and then I just told myself, all right, cool. Actually, a friend of mine from my neighborhood in London.
What part of London are you from?
So I'm from West London. I'm from Labrador Grove, yeah.
Ele botou a pimenta e não botou.
So you say you from what area?
So I'm from West London, Labrador Grove, yeah. And that's where they have like the Notting Hill Carnival. So you've heard of that? Like the third best carnival in the world.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like Brazil, Trinidad, Notting Hill, and then whatever, the rest.
Okay.
That looks good.
This is actually a new dish. I've
Bom
never had this.
apetite. Pimenta.
Cute.
So what was it like growing up out in London, and like what's the demographics like in terms of it? Is it like is there a lot of diversity there, or what's it like out in London?
Where I'm from, there's so much diversity. It's like, I'm from North Kensington, Labrador Grove, like it's a lot of black people, a lot of West Indian people. It's big carnival heritage there. Like there's a lot of West Indians from there. A lot of the Windrush community moved down to that part of London. So like being a black person is like, or being around black people is normal. So actually, when I first watched City of God,
Yeah, I think that might have been like one of the first things I kind of seen in Brazil too.
and this was the first time I saw black people in Brazil. Before that, it was, Pele and maybe like, Ronaldinho, or I mean, even if Ronaldinho was back them times, but like, basically, everyone was kind of like lighter than you or white,
Like the cat that I'm not a huge soccer fan, but I remember it was a dude who played for the Brazilian team. He was raw. He's kind of a chubby dude. Ronaldo, I think.
Yeah,
he was like
Ronaldo.
number 9 or something.
Yeah,
I remember, he was,
yeah,
I
R9.
remember watching the
Phenomenal.
World Cup. He was dope. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but these were the references that we had.
Yeah.
You know, Ipanema Beach, that sort of thing. That's what we kind of knew. And what happened was, when I watched City of God, I'm seeing black people.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm watching it with subtitles and all that stuff, but I'm seeing them make jokes and just talk, and they're like us, they're like me. I'm like, wow, okay. Because before I would be like into it, but just thinking like, yeah, but I can't really relate. But then when I saw that film, it stapled the fact that there are black people in Brazil. And honestly, like, with shame now thinking about it, I had no idea. You know, when that film came out, I was like, yeah.
A lot of people don't really know that Brazil actually, I think, has the most black people outside of Africa.
Outside of Nigeria. Not even outside of Africa, outside of Nigeria. So like, that one country in Africa and then Brazil.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I mean, right now we're in Salvador.
Yeah.
Salvador Bahia. And Salvador has the second most black people.
Yeah,
in terms of, I think it's population by, I mean, someone will correct, hopefully.
yeah,
but
somebody
like,
in the comment section.
But the second most black people in the world is here, in Brazil, in Salvador specifically.
Once you actually got to Brazil, kind of fast forward a little bit, what was it that actually kept you here? Like, what made you just like, I'm not going back? You know what I mean?
You know what it is? I don't think I plan to not come back, but like I said, this is something that me personally, I wanted to do since 2001, 2002. And it wasn't a secret. So I just used to always talk about it. I started, you know, trying to learn Portuguese. I'm speaking Spanish, thinking I'm speaking Portuguese. I was very much like trying to be that way. And you know, I mean, it's embarrassing, but keep it real. I was like that.
But I mean, but you put the work in to actually learn the language before you came here, which is something I kind of want to get to later. But yeah, continue.
Yeah. So, what was the question? What made me?
What made you stay? Like, what made you stay?
What made me stay?
Brazil?
Right. So, what made me stay was like
lifestyle, or
the lifestyle, man. The lifestyle, like it was like. I'm from London, and you know we have good weather, you know, 2.5 months of the year. Good weather. We have normal weather, and we're used to it raining. So, like, I was just living good, and I was living living cheap, you know.
yeah,
So I just kind of just got into this groove. The plan was always to just keep, you know, stay here a couple of months, go back, you know, maybe come back, you know, that was the plan. But nah, I was always trying to stay here. Like, the moment I got here, it just became like obvious.
yeah. I think a lot of people don't realize that, like, even for myself, like when you grow up living in an area that has like subpar weather, or like just whatever the culture or maybe the cost of living is crazy. Because I grew up in California, and I grew up in the Bay Area. Where the weather is not really that great. It's not bad, don't get me wrong, like it's definitely probably way better than London, but at the same time,
it's not bad.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like for me, now that because I moved to Hawaii and now I've been here for almost 3 months, and it's like for me, I just can't see myself living someplace for a long time that doesn't have like tropical weather, you know, 85 degrees Fahrenheit at least all year round. And you know, you get spoiled to a certain extent. And then on top of that, when you come out of the cost of living, like the San Francisco Bay Area is probably like one of the most expensive places to live in the entire world. I think in terms of like what people's salaries are to, you know, the cost of living, I think it's the third most expensive place in the world behind like Hong Kong and Vancouver, Canada.
Okay.
But, yeah, so for me, it's like a culture shock to come to a place that's so cheap. You know what I mean? Because to me, when I was living in Japan for a while too, and Japan to me was super cheap compared to California.
Yeah.
But compared to a place like this, Japan's like super expensive. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I think like when you have these type of elements and you're not used to it, and you kind of get hooked on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you get like, do you know what it is? You talking about culture as well, like the freedom to be able to do stuff, the access that you have to things, you know, like coming from the Western world, from London, from England, it's quite restricted in terms of what you can do. Like, you know, there's more red tape in terms of things you could do. Where here it's kind of like, you know, not dog eat dog or something like that, but it's just kind of, it's a bit more raw.
Yeah.
So you're able to do stuff like, there's no restrictions. Like, this might sound crazy to you, but in England, there are certain hours you're not allowed inside the parks.
Oh yeah, that is kind of. I mean, I guess there is kind of. I would say that they say that you're not allowed to go into parks in like America some hours, but like people are in parks all the time.
Yeah, people go anyway. Yeah. But here, like, there's no one telling you at any time that you can't be on the beach.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like or a park, but it's like it's just weird sort of freedom that you have. That you're just like, why would I want to get rid of that? And then if everything's cheaper as well, you know, like it's very easy to get comfortable, to get spoiled, you can say, and then to just be like, yeah, I'm kind of loving my life, so why would I go back to just that sort of rat race like that, you know?
Yeah, and that's actually another aspect of it. So it's like that rat race type of lifestyle where you kind of like you're living to work. Versus, like, I believe maybe here, I haven't been here long enough, but from what it seems, it's like people are working to live. It's like you just do enough to where you can kind of get by, and you know what I mean, have some food and maybe have some money to party on the weekends or whatever.
100% that. You're spot on there. One thing that I learned, and I used to live in Rio, and it was mainly in Rio, but just anywhere in Brazil, in a few places that I've lived, no one gives a shit. No one. No one gives a fuck what you do for a living when you enter that bar, when you enter that beach, when you go and meet people. What you do is like, unless you got some terrible job or you got a job that people don't, you know, is frowned upon or something like that. No one cares. Like you said, people are living for the weekend. People are living to have, you know, they work to live rather than they live to work, and it's just like, it's beautiful to see, because like I said, coming from a place where, you know, your title is based on your profession and stuff like that,
or your status is based on your profession and based on how much money you make. And you know, people are so caught up into like the superficiality of like saying, oh, I'm, you know, a regional director at yada yada yada, and I'm this or I'm that, and you know, their lifestyle might be horrible. They might be working 70, 80 hours a week. They don't have time for their family. They don't have time for their friends. They don't have time for their passions in life. But you know, they can feel good about themselves and feel like they're better than people because of, you know, whatever their salary is, or you know, whatever, you know, position that they might hold, versus actually living life. I think that's like, people get that confused in terms of like what living life is, and then just kind of being a cog in the wheel and kind of, you know, going about your way. I think that's like one of the things that kind of disgusts me about maybe the United States or a lot of these countries that are similar to that. It's like people care so much about what you do for a living instead of like what type of person that you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to be fair, yeah, like I agree. Like I've seen that for myself. And what I realized when I was leaving London is that I had to, you know, unveil that, or, you know, take, what's the word for take off? Like, by the way, my English died.
Unveil,
yeah, I had to unveil these things. I had to get rid of these kind of prejudices that I had as well.
Almost like cleanse yourself of these prejudices.
Yeah, you know, just not feel that way about myself and not about others as well. You know, because there are people, like, I'm assuming you're not like that. You're from the States, I'm from England. We're not like that. So there are. It is present in our culture to not be like that as well. We don't have to. It's not because you're from there you're like that, and if you're from here you're not like that. It happens here too. The fact that we're gringos comes with a lot of prejudice, good and bad. You know. So that's one thing that I always found very, very interesting, that getting to know people is harder over there because of these barriers that we put up based on our status.